Can we say a prayer first?
Sure.
Can you say one?
Yeah, absolutely. Father God, I thank you so much for bringing me and Peter together a long time ago. I was fresh out, as you know, just looking for guidance, somebody to inspire me and believe in me before I truly understand what I could accomplish here as a free man. So thank you, God, for bringing him to my life. And he's more than a friend, a brother. So I ask you to please watch over him, protect him, keep him safe, keep his family safe, help him to continue to live his purpose and do great in this world, and keep our friendship strong and solid. God, I just pray and I ask you help us to overcome these things that we have going on within us, these things that we've acquired through many years of incarcerations and addictions and trials and tribulations, and that you just help us to beat that, to battle through it and to overcome it, and to stay strong in the process. And thank you for our families and loved ones and the second chance at life. I mean, freedom is beautiful, and I know we won't take it for granted ever again. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Good.
Yeah. All right, Peter. So that this podcast, I usually start with the quote. I feel that quotes are important to me. I remember being in my prison cell, and I used to have quotes just on the wall that inspired me every day. So yeah. I wanted to read a quote from your book, Against All Odds. It's an amazing book.
Thank you.
When I read it, it just made me feel like there was somebody in this world that understood me. And I think anybody that reads this book in some way can find value in it.
That's what I felt when I met you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? It's crazy like how that works. And you actually, we were writing our books together around the same time. So it was,
just hearing your little intro when I was just like, it brought me, I try and teach perspective out here, because you can never forget where you come from. And the biggest disservice that we can do to ourselves and to the rest of the world is like forget how shitty our lives used to be and how good it is now, and like the problems that we have today, like we would have traded our right and left arms to have these problems now, And so life is all about perspective. And like I told you, I haven't given any interviews lately, and it's only for you. And just right then when you said that, I was like, this is what I needed to say. Like right as you were praying, I was like, this is no joke. I was telling myself that I knew this is what I needed today. It's like, I needed to be brought back into, even when I met you, when you had first got out, I was 6 years out or something like that, but like just seeing you fresh out, and you were 60 days-ish out or so, and I remember seeing you, I was like, dude, that dude is my twin. You have nothing else, we just met each other 30 seconds ago, but I knew right then when I just heard your story, how much time you did, I was like, oh my God, that dude is me, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't give myself a lot of credit anymore, so like putting my shoes back to where I was now, I'm like, damn, I've come a long way still, and I've been kind of beating myself up lately, like not knowing what direction to go or whatever, and I want to thank you for everything you've done, bro, and like you've been as big of an inspiration to me as I've been to you.
I appreciate that, and it's funny because like I remember when you came in that day to, we were like in the middle of like South Central LA,
the hood.
You don't even know, like gang infested neighborhood, and like my first job I ever had, part-time, the only place that would hire me. And I was writing letters to prisoners in the back of the place. It was like in this old home. And I heard you come in and you started to talk about your story. And I was like, I heard it, and something told me, and I believe it was God that told me to go over there and introduce myself to you, not knowing what was going to happen. But I knew that you were in a place that I felt I wanted to be as far as your energy. So I did, and I introduced myself. And I think that's something that people can take away, is that like if you feel compelled to speak to somebody or do something, you just have to do it and overcome the fear. Because if I would have never did it, I wouldn't have known you.
And I kind of look at those now as, because I've been trying to, I just found God recently, and I've been kind of like looking at it like that. When something like pops in your head or something like that to go do it, and you don't want to do it or something like that, I tell myself that's kind of God telling me to go do it. I should go do that. So don't be scared if it pops in your head. It's not a coincidence. I always kind of look at it like it's like kind of God pushing me on which way to go.
Yeah, and if it's scary, there's something there. Yeah. Right. That's how I feel. Like if something is like intimidating me, then I'm like, I might need to explore that.
Another good thing too that I was asking, Lindsey Graham, who was on my podcast, and I had, she's real faith-based, and I asked a lot of people, because when I found God, I believe in him, but I was still 90%, not, and 10% I could have said he wasn't real, and like, so I'd ask Lindsey, I'm like, how do you, like, people say like, I just talk to God, and I'm like, I try to always be real, especially on my podcast. I'll break it down, like, okay, talk to God. That sounds like cliche to me. Like everybody says, like, what do you mean you talk to God? So do you literally say, hey God, what are you doing? And I asked her, and she said, like, a simple scenario is like, if you need to go do something like at noon or something like that, and noon comes down and you don't want to go do that, but it did pop in your head, that's God telling you to go do your shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so she's like, I always look at it like that's God's way of talking to me. And I'm like, ever since she told me that, it just like anytime that I get those little notions that I don't want to do it, I just like the next second I'm like, that's God telling me to do it. Just handle it. You know what I'm saying? I always like, that's kind of the way I look at God talking to me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about this right here. It's actually in your book, and it stood out to me. Just kind of get your perspective on what this means for
sure.
you. You said you can change your life if you change you. Like, what does that mean to you, and maybe somebody out there who hears that and they're trying to find some clarity on that?
To break it down, the most simple fact is like, literally, if you change yourself, you can literally have any life you want, and you could have a life that you never even dreamed was possible. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you now, like my biggest problem now is I have imposter syndrome. You know, like I live in almost $1 million house, like drive a brand new 7 Series, like, and I pull up to my house and I'm like, how the frick is this my house? You know what I mean? Like now I have the imposter syndrome. My life is so good. Like I feel like it's going to be taken away from me any day. You know what I'm, but like, and I still have this thing, you know, I was talking about this before. I'm like, it's just, my life seems too good to be true now. I keep waiting to wake up one day and like, there was a fun run, but like, here's your prison cell again. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you have fun? You know? And it's like, but like my wife even tells me, she's like, it's not going anywhere. You know, this is the life you built and created, you know, but it's like, I still have a hard time, like even knowing that this is my life and even feeling like I kind of deserve this, you know, because like, and granted, I did some dumbass shit when I was a kid, but like I still beat myself up over it, you know. And I still kind of have a hard time like thinking, how the hell do I deserve this life? And there's people that like never did bad stuff that they don't have this life, you know what I'm saying? But like the only way to keep going is like I said, is I just continue to like keep passing it on and keep helping people. So like when I don't want to help people, I do it, and like I feel like that's my duty in life. And to God is that like no matter what I want to do or how much I don't want to go do something or help somebody, I always do it, because like if not, like I feel like this will be all taken from me.
Yeah, because going back to being in prison for so long. You did 12 years, I did 17 years, but we've done over a decade. And I tell people that if you haven't done over a decade, then you truly don't understand. Like that's like the point where you feel like you start to feel the side effects afterward from prison.
Sure.
And I remember being in prison, the only property I owned was under my bunk with my name and CDC number on it in case I went to the hole, make sure it would follow me.
Yep.
And I knew at any time, anything else I had, all the little extra stuff, they can come take it.
Gone anytime, yeah.
So like now that you're having all this success, we're in your beautiful
home. I got
home
goosebumps
right
just
now.
hearing that, bro, because that's what I'm thinking about my house now. That's kind of what I have, the feeling I have now.
You have a beautiful home. Like this home, people been out here their whole lives would never see something like this.
Bro, no one in my family's ever bought a house like this on either side of my family. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the 8th grade education, dropped out of the 9th grade, 12 years straight in prison, never worked a day in my life till I was 31 years old, like never done shit with my life. You know what I mean? Like, and I did all this, and I made $2 million my first 5 years working. But like, I just switched my addiction, bro, from a drug and street addiction to a money addiction and helping people, you know? And like, I just, when you, like, it might sound super cliche, but like when you realize that you literally have 24 hours a day that you can do whatever the fuck you want, like, when you realize that, like, you have a leg up on the next person, because nobody even realizes that. You know, they think it's just is what it is. My life's blah, 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 you know, another Tuesday here, you know. But if you look at it like, bro, this next Tuesday, I got like literally till 6 o'clock till business are closed. I can do whatever I want, go more towards my goals, call whoever I want, get advice from whoever I want. Like, you can literally do anything you want in this world. And people just feel sorry for themselves. They don't do anything because they're looking for someone to hand them something free. You know what I mean? Nothing comes free in this world, you know. And if it doesn't, it doesn't mean shit, you know? Yeah,
exactly. Everything earned, you're gonna
respect
it. You're going to appreciate it more.
Yeah, just like street money. You spend that money like nothing because it wasn't hard to work. Like my money, it's hard as hell for me to work. I don't throw it away like that. You know what I mean? You go drop $2-3 grand at the mall because it was free stolen money. You know, you didn't work for it. But like it's a completely different thing when you actually work for your life and you have a real job and you're a real citizen. You know?
Yeah. I know. I want to go back to like a lot of people know your story. Many people know your story. You're very, you've spoken about it many times. But so I want to go back to like your younger age, when like before you went to prison, and just some of the things that you were dealing with, because this channel, How to Battle, is like to people who are going through battles right now, your younger self, right? They may be out there in the world that's at where you were at when you were younger, like maybe starting to get addicted to drugs and started to get involved in like stealing cars. Like, what are some of the things you were going through, and what changes could have happened to lead you to another direction instead of in prison?
To be honest, you know what's crazy? I was just thinking about this outside, and it's like, I might go off base here, so pull me back if I do, but it's like, and I was thinking about like generational curses, you know? And it's like, and not to, I never want to bash my family or anything like that, or bash my dad, you know what I'm saying? But like, to be honest, I didn't have the greatest relationship with my dad. I don't want to say bad stuff about him, but it's like, back then they didn't have all the tools we have now to fix things. You know what I'm saying? So about breaking the generational curses, I feel like it's my duty now to do that for my family. Like, I have stuff accessible to me that my dad didn't have when he was a kid, you know? Like, I was like really resentful for my dad, you know, because he was my dad and I thought he was a parent and he was supposed to know everything. And just the fact that I've had my son now for a year, I realized like there's no parenting handbook. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't have all the answers when he was a parent. He was just figuring it out on the fly just like I am. And he didn't have all the tools accessible to him like I did. So like I'm kind of trying to be less resentful towards my dad and just more like I got to fix it and like just be more grateful that I have the opportunities and the accessible tools that he didn't have back then, you know? So like for the kids, man, it's like I just wish I could go back to when I was a child and like, no joke, just shake the shit out of myself. You know what I'm saying? And just be like, listen to the people you aren't listening to and don't listen to the people that you are listening to. It's like, it sounds really cliche to do that, but it's like, I just wish I would have had a guy like me or you to talk to me back then. You know what I'm saying? I seriously, like, I think about that all the time. Like how much I wish I would have just even had a conversation with a guy like me before I like did all my shit, was still living in the street. Like, you know, like they had some guy talk to me that was like, had a substance abuse degree, you know what I'm saying? It was like some 50-year-old dude with a mustache that I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up. You don't know anything that's going on in my life. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they don't have that now, you know what I'm saying? Like we're accessible to people. And if you're like struggling or need something, like there's people to talk to, you know? Like there's people now that like, I mean, think about this. 20 years ago, if you were like a kid that was struggling, didn't know like where to go, didn't have the answers and like had a shitty home life, he had no other answers. Now, like you have the internet, you have like, there's groups, like you can find centers, like you can talk to us, you know what I'm saying? Like I get DMs all the time from kids out there, you know what I'm saying? Like there's people out there that can help you, bro. It's just up to you to like reach out and get the help you want. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah. Mentorship is critical.
And they didn't have that back then because there was no Instagram. As much as I hate that stupid ass app, like it can do a bunch of really good stuff, you know what I'm saying? And my brand wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for that stupid ass Instagram app, you know what I'm saying? So like it can be used for good, which is why I get so frustrated with it because like, having accessibility to guys like us when they don't know us, like that didn't happen 20 years ago. And it's like you can literally use that to change your life, you know, and like get a leg up on the next person. Like why not?
Yeah, exactly. And I think like just to put that out there, that any young person out there, anybody getting out of prison, anybody struggling, like you could literally hit us up in our DM and we're gonna like help you in some way or guide you.
Or I'm gonna tell you who to talk to if you have a question on this. And that's what I say. Like I don't know shit, bro. Like I had 0 book smarts. I'm all street smarts. But I know now, like, I have a phone that I can call somebody that has an answer to any problem I need now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't have that before. 20 years ago, they didn't have that. They didn't have cell phones. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, going back to the generational curses, like, you know what's crazy is, like, I love, like, the sober and prison stuff, but I feel like ever since I had my son now, it's like, I feel like this is my calling now, is just to, like, do the parenting stuff and, like, be a gangster, but be a good dad and a gangster. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's gangster. You know what I'm saying? Is, like, being a family man, like, taking care of your kid and, like, breaking the generational curses that's like been in my family my whole life. You know what I'm saying? My family's a bunch of alcoholic, whatever. I'm not going to say bad stuff about it, but it's like they've all been that way their whole lives. You know what I'm saying? But they don't have the tools that I have now. So it's like up to me to do the damn thing. And that's what I'm doing now. You know? So I feel like it's like more than anything now, my calling is to like show people how to be good parents, especially dads. You know, like I cannot stand deadbeat dads, and I cannot fathom having a son and not like doing anything in the world for that kid. You know what I'm saying? Like it terrifies me having something so perfect, honestly. Like, you know, I told you earlier, like my life sucked up until I was 33, 32 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have died any day and would have been grateful that I died and I didn't have to take out the easy way out and like kill myself. You know, like when I was in prison, like, you know, when I used to shoot dope and like hope I overdosed, you know what I'm saying? But like, at least I didn't kill myself, you know what I mean? Because like I would have never done that, but I wanted a way out the whole time. And now it's like it's crazy to me that something like someone that's such a screw up before can have something so perfect and so precious, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, but it just shows anything is possible, man, if you put the work in, you know what I mean? Like I live a fairy tale life now and my son is just, he's an angel. Like I'll do anything for him and that could just change everything about my life. Like I don't know what I want anymore except for just to do anything in the world to make sure that my son is perfectly taken care of, you know, and lives a life that I didn't get to live. Because I have a lot of resentments from my childhood, you know, and I screwed up my childhood years. I never even played sports and I was, you know, one of the top athletes and that's like one of the biggest like saving graces for me now is like I get to watch my son do the shit that I didn't get to do. You know what I'm saying? I get to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? I get to watch all his games and like so I get a lot of gratitude just knowing that like I get to at least watch my son do the shit that I didn't get to do. You know, hopefully he'll be a lot better than I was at it anyways. You know.
Yeah. I always tell people like that you're like one of the greatest men I know.
Appreciate that.
Because you've overcome so much, and now like you're this great father. You know, you're this great leader within your community, and people like in Arizona, like you said earlier, like you create a movement. People know they can come to you for inspiration, for help, for guidance. You know, just your story alone, and you overcome one of the biggest battles I feel anybody can overcome, which is extreme addiction. Not just addiction to like cigarettes, which is also something big, but like you were on heavy drugs, which is very, like most people don't overcome that. And not only just overcome it, but then like become successful, and then now like be able to not go relapse and be able to create a family. Like, how did you do that? Like, because that's where the value is. That's like the most valuable thing is like you overcoming that addiction, prison, ODing, not bounce back, and now being where you're at. Like, how were you able to do that?
The biggest thing I would say, number one, is besides God, obviously, is like God did it for me, but it's all about perspective and like being able to like let God like make miracles for me and like following. So it's like instead of like just like the example earlier, like when I was supposed to go somewhere new and I don't want to go, instead of like not doing that, I do it now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I just like let God kind of lead me. You know what I'm saying? Like for the first time, you know, like I thought I was king shit my whole life, even in prison. I just told you I tattooed untouchable down the front of my legs, and it kind of helped me just realize like I'm not the boss, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta, and I always try to like give thanks to God more than anything. But like, I remember after I was laying in the hospital bed after that overdose, you know, and I just was brought back to life. You know, when they found me, I was dead, had no heartbeat. By the time I got to the hospital, for those that know my story, you know, my heart was beating 6 beats a minute. The doctor said I was the only person to survive in that condition. And then when I found out like how I got saved, I was like, I remember the light switch went off and I was like laying back in the hospital bed and I was like mad that I had survived that overdose. I was like, God damn it, man, why couldn't I just ended this shit? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm a year out of the 12-year prison sentence on parole and I just overdosed. I'm like, probably going back to prison, who knows? Like, and I'm like, I was just done fighting, bro. Like I was like throwing in the towel right there. I was like, I'm done. And then like something came over me and now I know it was God, but I didn't know at that time. And like, I swear to God, bro, it was like a light switch flipped. And like, just like my mindset, and it was God in me, like saying like, I went from being mad that I overdosed, and I was just like laying back in my hospital, I'm like thinking, how am I going to get myself out of this one now, you know? And then I was just like a light bulb went off, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to get sober, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And I was just like, I had a hard time, and a lot of kids, you guys are going to deal with this. I got locked up as a kid, so I never went to bars, I never been to clubs, you know? So like, I had a hard time not going out and pulling chicks and partying and stuff like all my friends did in their 20s. I had none of my 20s, they were all gone. I got out of prison at 30 years old. Yeah. So I had a hard time with that. And I couldn't relate to being an alcoholic because I never drank like that. I was a kid, like we had high school parties, that's when I drank. If not, I was doing drugs, you know? So like, how could I say I'm an alcoholic, but I don't know if I am? And not to mention that if I say I'm an alcoholic, then all the partying and fun shit's out, you know? And I want to do that, you know? Like I thought for a decade about getting out and partying and pulling chicks and doing the stuff that you think is cool, you know? And it wasn't then, and then you realize like none of that shit even matters, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
true. It's
just like family is what matters now, and like, just your whole mindset changes, and like, and then having my son, like, you know, like sorry, I'm getting a little scatterbrained, but like just everything completely changed about my whole mindset, my life, everything, and like what matters to me doesn't, and like I just try and like take God's guidance more than anything, you know. Like I asked you to pray before here, but I'm for those of you that. The other thing I love about my story is that like I'm not a God freak, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people can like, dudes that don't know my story can say that, and they might hear me and think, oh, he's one of those God dudes. I'm like, I'm not that guy at all. I was the guy that like you couldn't even a million years convince me that God was real. Yeah. You know, when you're sober and they go into programs and AA meetings, they say you have to have a higher power. Yeah. I told my sponsor, I don't give a shit what you say. I don't have a higher power. I am my higher power. You know what I'm saying? Like, didn't nobody get me through that 12 years in prison sentence? You know, like I got myself through that, so I am my own higher power. You know what I'm saying? And I was the only person in those meetings that was like, and you can't argue with me because you didn't walk my shoes. You don't know what I've been through, you know? And like, and it wasn't until even after then that I realized like, dude, it was God the entire damn time, you know what I'm saying? But like, you just got to let him in your life, you know? And like, I try to take all the credit for it. And now I'm one of those guys that gets to talk about God. And like, I know for a fact he's real. There's no chance in the world that me and you could be sitting here right now if God wasn't real. You know what I'm saying? And I love that part of my story because it's so hard when you are getting sober and you're just starting to believe in something, you know what I'm saying? And they're trying to shove God down your throat, and there's no chance that like that's the last thing you want to hear. And like I feel like I'm here for those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys that it's hard to believe in God, you know, but like one day a light switch will go off if you keep plugging away and you don't give up on it. And then like one day you'll see it and you're like, this is that light switch he was talking about. This is God. You know what I'm saying? It'll just click for you one day if you don't just give up. You know, like I say this all the time, like that's the only thing that I was good at before is not giving up. You know what I'm saying? Like I just was always good at it. I was still gonna fight. You know what I'm saying? Like when I overdosed, I said I was just done fighting. I was always gonna fight, and like I was never gonna give up. That was the only thing positive that I did in my life. You know what I'm saying? And the same goes for getting sober. You know, you just can't give up when shit gets tough. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like I could have the worst shit in the world happen to me. Like the thought to drink or use doesn't even like cross my mind anymore. Which is like God removed that obsession from me, because that's a miracle. You know, like before I couldn't go an hour without thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even cross my mind no matter what I go through now. You know?
Yeah. And you wrestled with God.
Oh,
right? You
bad.
wrestled with God.
Bad.
Talk about that, because I know you wrestled with God when you were in prison, when you lost your aunt, right?
Yep.
You know, and a bunch of other things, because I get that, because I did too.
So that was the day, that was the day that I quit believing in God. So my whole first prison sentence, I prayed every night, and I thought there was a 2% chance God was real, but just in case he was real, I prayed because I knew I needed all the help I could get during that 12 years. And the way I looked at it is like, I got an extra 30 seconds a night anyways, who gives a shit? I'll say a quick prayer, hey, God, grant me the serenity, blah, 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 you know, and then be done with it.
Yeah.
So I wrestled with God, and then, you know, I watched my cousin get murdered. He got ran over by a drunk driver on TV. I was in maximum security, you know, 5x7 cells. You get 1 10-minute phone call a week, you know, and I found out watching the 6 a.m. news. You know, my little homie Baby Jag ran the Mexicans, I ran the white boys. We were so institutionalized, like pintoed out, bro. We thought like we would not have race, but like we would like to see who woke up before who. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if he got up at 5:25 and I got up at 5:30, I'd be like, dude, sleeping, you're lazy, homie. You ain't about that gangster life, you know what I'm saying? Talking about like sleeping in 5 minutes longer when it's like you're locked in a cell 24 hours a day. You can't even go nowhere, you know? Yeah. And then we watched the news that morning. I found out my cousin died, and she was an All-American at Duke, like the prized possession of our family, you know? And right then I was just like, oh my God. And then I remember thinking like, there's no way in hell that God's real. He just took my cousin, you know what I'm saying? Like she was an angel, you know? Yeah. And I remember that exact same day, they had a rapist that came in the pod, you know? And when he was going to get showers, you know, he told the dude he was gonna have a mirror for him, you know, and they snatch him up through the bars and stab this fool up. And I remember this one like it was yesterday. And I remember the dude actually walked out of there. The cops pulled him away from the dude, you know, and they got him out, and he walked out of there. I remember thinking right then that day, there's no way in hell that God's real if that rapist just lived and my cousin's dead, you know. And I gave up on God that day, 100%. And from that day on, you couldn't have even said the word God to me. I would have, in the joint, I would have slapped you in the face, but out here on the streets, like I wouldn't even talk to you. Like there's no chance you could have got me to believe that God was real. And then I had the overdose happen. So I was like thinking like, so for those of you that don't know, when I was saved, when I got overdosed, I was found dead, no heartbeat, no nothing, by my ex-girlfriend's little sister, right? And I didn't find this out till afterwards. She went to go tanning after work. She said she went to the tanning place, she got out of her car, or parked her car, got out. She went up to the door of the salon. She said she put her hand on the door of the salon, and when she put her hand on the door, something told her to go home, which is clearly God, right?
Clearly.
So then she takes her hand off the door, goes home to take a nap. Finds me completely dead, right? Calls 911. Couldn't even move me because she said I was upside down in the bathtub, and I was 260 pounds back then, soaking wet, she said, just drenched in sweat and blue. Paramedics get there, they give me 7 shots of Narcan or whatever, get my heart back beating, bam. And then 6 beats a minute by the time I get to the hospital, like I should have been dead 50 times over, bro. You know, if she even walks into the salon and takes another 2 or 3 seconds, I'm gone, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it couldn't have been more perfect, right?
Yeah.
And then I go from, like I said, so thinking like, why did I survive? Resentful, angry that I survived, to like thinking, and then after I find out what happened, like how she survived, like how she saved me, I always had this in the back of my head, like, why the hell would I have gotten saved that day? You know what I'm saying? But I still didn't even believe in God all the way. No joke. Like, I thought, like, maybe that was God. But, like, other than that, I don't know. And I don't believe in him still. And then it wasn't until I went to a lunch with Sheriff Lamb. Yeah. And he asked me about this prison curriculum stuff, you know? Yeah. And he's like, yo, why don't you come teach the inmates what you did, you know? And then I start hitting you up. And then it's like, and then I go home, and then, like, some dude hits me up, and he's like, yo, I'm the biggest prison curriculum developer in the country. I'm not even gonna say the dude's name, you know, this and that. And it's like, and then I'm thinking, this has gotta be God, bro. Like, there's no way a guy like me doesn't catch breaks. You know, I went from a guy like, and this is for all the kids out there that like, you might think your life sucks, you can't catch a break, you have the worst luck. I had the worst luck on the face of the earth. You know what I'm saying? If one good thing happened to me, there was gonna be 10 bad things that happened to me the next day, you know? And it's like, a guy like me doesn't catch like 3 or 4 or 5 breaks in a row like this, you know? And then I'm like thinking, holy shit, why is good shit happening to me? You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, you realize like God is real, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like I said before, you just got to keep plugging through the tough times, you know what I'm saying? Because then you're going to start catching breaks. And then it'll get to literally a point where you can't miss. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Think about that, how crazy that is. Like, to put that in perspective, I couldn't catch a break. I couldn't cross the street right back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have screwed up anything. And now it's just like, anything I do, like, almost turns into gold, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, anything I do, I handle it, you know? And, like, good stuff happens to me, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I try to do something, I actually handle it, and I actually, you know, like, finish the goal that I set out to do, and I still help people, you know, and I still am a good person. And it's like, you will get to a point if you like to where it's like you can't miss anymore, you know what I'm saying? And now it's like the exact opposite of my life before. No joke, my life is the exact opposite of what my life used to be. 100%.
I know. I when I like come visit you and I see like your family and the way you're living, it's like it's hard to believe that you ever had that life. So it shows people that like you can completely change your life and in a short period of time, because you've only been out of prison, what, 9 years, 4 months, right?
Yeah.
I know for the months, right? Because for me, people inspire me, and you inspire me. So I think about you when I'm out there and I'm like feeling like not getting up at a certain time to go do what I got to do.
I do the same for you, bro.
You know what I mean?
Seriously.
I'm like, look at this dude. He's just like living the life that I want to get to that level. You know, I want to be able to say like, I just got a brand new home. You know, I got all these things I've always dreamed about when I was in that prison cell. And so when I first met you and I was 3 months out, like hearing you speak was like, okay, this guy knows, he has the answer. So when people now like who are out there looking for that person in their life to like be like that, maybe that mentor, that leader that they can kind of mold, like what advice would you give people out there who may not meet you in person, but now have this opportunity to listen to you? What advice would you give to young people that are starting off but have all those limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah. Like like I said, use the gram for good, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, another cliche saying, but it's like who you hang out with is who you're going to be, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and not only circles in person, but like your Instagram family. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, like, I don't know if you noticed, I unfollowed everybody, bro, that was toxic to me and wasn't positive. Like, I think I follow 150 people now. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I realized like negative shit put me in a negative mindset throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? And it's like what you're looking at on Instagram is what's going to be in your mind that day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're not looking at positive stuff or people that inspire you or do that are portraying a positive message, you're not going to have a positive stuff in your life. And another thing I want to say is like, another like thing that I'm like really, really proud of and that you can like do anything is like, I didn't know how to be a good dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had no clue. I never even, and I don't mean to, like I said, I'm never even trying to talk shit about my dad, but like, I didn't know, I never seen like, I didn't remember my childhood. I never seen like a dad like do what I've done, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, when I got out of prison, like all my old buddies I used to hang out with, you know, they all cheated on their wives and they all cheated on their girlfriends, whatever they with. And I thought that was normal, you know, I mean, that's how I was, you know, and it wasn't until like, that's why I say, thank God I had my relationships that I had before I met my wife now, because I would have never been able to keep her if I was the person I was back then, you know, I mean, like I had to, luckily was shown how to like be in a relationship. And then like, thank God I was shown that before I met Jasmine, because I wouldn't have lasted 2 seconds with her if I was the old person I was now, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, but now like, whether it's like, reading positive stuff on Instagram, like pick a dude that's like got every character trait that you got and like literally just mirror him. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, like what do I got to do to be that dude? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what I did. Like with kind of Andy Frisell, and like I would just like pick like little microcosms of all these people, and I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna be that dude or do this. You know, it's like almost study them. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to like look at Frisell's Instagram and just like study all his stuff, his podcast. You know, it's like their mindset, like. Yeah. It's free game right there without even having to pay for coaching. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's like another benefit. Like I said, what's out there in the world that our parents didn't have 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, pick some good dudes on there. You know, Andy Frisell is one of the top guys in there. Josh Snow's another really good one. Like, you're literally one of my favorite people on the gram. Because I see it, I'm like, dude, he's still at it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, no joke. That's why I say, like, when I want to like sleep in or be lazy or something like that, like lately I've been like in a bad mind space and I look at him like, Carlos, that's why I text you, like, dude, I'm so proud of you. Like, you're still just going, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what it's about though, because you realize, you know, like, we didn't used to have this time, you know what I'm saying? And you have all the time in the world to do whatever the hell you want, you know? Like, for another kid that's listening, it's like, if you're thinking about changing or like you're struggling right now, you know, like, make tomorrow the day. Stop waiting. That's another big thing. Like, I always like, even when I was gonna quit my job, you know, I was like always waiting for the right time, this and that. It's gotta be perfect. It's not, bro. Like we just talked about this outside. Like, I'm an expert at like pivoting, you know what I'm saying? Like, which just means like when God or the world throws me a wrench, figure out the next move real quick. You know what I'm saying? You gotta figure it out on the fly, you know, like, make tomorrow the day. Like, it's never going to be a perfect situation, you know what I'm saying? But you can literally change your life tomorrow. And I know that sounds like dumb and cliche or whatever, but like, But I'm not even joking. Like tomorrow you can start having the day you've always dreamed. And like there's no reason that you can't have it unless you don't want to put the work in to change or you're too scared to, you know? Because like tomorrow, and I don't mean to keep saying it sounds cliche, but like tomorrow you can do anything you want. And you can literally have like at least the start to like a fantasy life that you like never even fathomed in your wildest dreams.
Yeah,
but if you don't give up, you'll have it.
Exactly. So true. And it's like all these things you say that are cliche, but they are, and they're real though.
Yeah.
They're real. Like people say discipline. You have to have discipline, right? You have to have the consistency, right? How important, because I know you're big, this is a big thing. You're just like with me, how important is fitness for you in your life? Is it mentally, physically, however, spiritually? I mean, how important is it for you? Because I know you're at the gym every day.
Yeah, huge.
Discipline, yeah.
For one, it's letting off steam. Two, that's like, a lot of people can, you know, like, I always like to say I'm the people's people, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because like, they always say this thing, you got to meditate and all this and that. And I'm like, and I'm here to be real, like, I can't meditate, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I always say like, I'm the people's people. I would try to be like the realest dude on here, bro. Like, I'm like, people tell you to meditate. I can't meditate, bro. So so then what do you do? You know, like, the gym is my meditation. You know, like, it's where I can like listen to music, like get like blow off my steam for the day, and then also like get my mindset for the day. So like I go every morning, and that's like where I'm like kind of, for one, it's like a podcast if I'm doing cardio, so like I get like a positive mindset going right there. And then two, it's just like I'm like running through like how my day's gonna go, and I kind of like, if I have stuff going on that day, I kind of like replay different scenarios of how it could go, or if it goes bad this way, like I'm gonna have a move already, so I don't have to like pivot on the fly. You know, it's like I'm kind of just like going through my day to day, so it kind of, it helps you from like having like big setbacks or screw ups that day. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'd have already prepared for like what the only bad thing that could possibly happen that day, you know what I'm saying? Then like nothing bad can happen because I already have an answer for it if something happens, you know? So like the gym is huge for mental health, blowing off steam. And not only that, like you got to have something, whether it's like people reading for an hour. Some people can meditate for 30 minutes or an hour, read every morning, and the gym might be better for them, but like, and not to, how you like look at yourself is how you view yourself. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't like the person that you look in the mirror, you're never going to be happy. And that's, people say that all the time, but it's real shit, bro. Like if you look at the mirror and you think you're a fat slob, like you're not going to be happy with yourself. And I'm never one to be like that clown and act like everyone's got to be jacked and ripped and have a six pack and all this and that. You know, I don't even have a six pack anymore. You know what I'm saying? But I'm happy with the way I look, and I'm happy with myself when I look in the mirror. So like, no matter what it is, but like you have to be able to look in the mirror and be happy with yourself, whether it's like something inside you that you're not happy with or your body shape or anything, but like do whatever you have to do to make sure that when you look in the mirror, you're happy with who you're looking at. You know what I'm saying? And you know what you're happy with the person you're presenting to the world, you know, because the person that you see is like what's going on in the world. And so that's how the world sees you. So if you're insecure and you're thinking you're like doubtful and have bad thoughts in your head, then that's literally what you're going to portray out to the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's self-awareness because like you said, some people that you just know yourself, like know what works for you, try different things.
For sure.
Some people, like I said, meditation is just not for them. Reading is not for them. Maybe it's listening to a podcast, but find what works for you and then stick to that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another thing. It kind of segues into like these people out there who are like on Instagram and wherever, like, because young people follow and listen to that, and they're listening to these people who are telling them, you got to do it this way, or this is what makes you a man, or this is what makes you successful. If you don't have this, you're a bitch. What do you say to those people? Because I say, if anybody that listens to me and follow me, like I advise people, listen to people like Peter, who really have like the life experience, who really been through this shit, who can say like, okay, this is what works. These other people are just trying to like, you know, get people to buy into what they're doing, and it's fake and it's phony.
100%.
Like, you know, so what do you say to those that are listening that follow those people that are even like heavily influenced by them? And maybe that's why they're so depressed or unhappy, because they feel like they can't compete with how that person.
I'll tell you a real perfect scenario with this. When I quit my job 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'm gonna just tell a whole little full story. So I was a finance person in the car business. For those of you that don't know, you know, making 300 plus G's a year, living in $1 million house, had the life, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, was cruising, and I just knew I wanted more. You know. So anyways, I decided to quit my job. And that's what I did. I was on Instagram and I was looking at all these people with these Lamborghinis and Ferraris and $1 million house, and I was like thinking, bro, I'm never gonna get this if I stay here at this job, you know? And I also wanted to help people, so on top of that, so like, I looked at them and I was like, I'm gonna quit my job and try this mission, you know? And that's when Vice TV luckily reached out to me and did that TV show by myself. I'm gonna kind of take this Vice TV show and run with it, you know? So I decided to walk through my job to go, for one, meet all these big ass multimillionaires, get in with their circle and just do what they're doing. And like I told you, mirror them. I was like, these dorks figure this out. I will 100% figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying? As long as I got the time in the day, you know? So I quit my job to go do that. And within 2 years, I had met every single person I wanted to meet. Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, you know, I got their cell phone numbers, you know, like I've been at Andy Frisella's house, bro, you know, like, and you know what's crazy? And I always say this, besides those few, the Frisellas, Ed Milet and Josh Snow, Ryan Stewman, every person that I had met through that is fake as shit. Their cars are rented. They don't even own a house. They're renting some place to take pictures on. And once I got in the circle with them, I realized, dude, I was making more money than these freaking clowns. You know what I'm saying? And and not to mention that, I had provable income so I could actually buy a house, which is why I owned a house. And none of these dudes own houses. You know what I'm saying? They're all renting these cars. And it's like, they're spending every dollar that they have. Not to mention that, they're spending every dollar that you're giving them to coach them to rent these expensive ass cars to make it look like they're multimillionaires, and they don't have shit to their name. They have nothing, and they will 100% phase out. And I realized right then, I was like, dude, I was ahead of these guys back then, and I quit to go try to get to where they were, and I was already ahead of them. So that's what a lot of people don't know. This, I'm back at the car biz, bro. I went back to finance, and that's another thing I've been having a hard time with is quote unquote giving up on my dreams, you know, because I gave up my dreams to go save the world and help people, and I went back to the job that I quit to give up on my dreams. But we just talked about this. What was important to me 2.5 years ago isn't important to me anymore now. You know, now that I have my son, that's what's important to me. And like I told you, I think it's my calling now is to show dads how to be great dads, and also still mentor people that got out of prison. Show people that have been out of prison, you can still fix your relationship with your kid. You know what I'm saying? No matter if you didn't know him since you're 15 years old. If you're sober, you can have your son back in your life. You know what I'm saying? No matter what. I've seen the craziest miracles happen when people get sober. So that's what it's all smoke and mirrors, man. You know what I'm saying? And little things, bro. I look at little things. So if dudes are doing posts and stories and they're saying they're these multimillionaires and they have the little cutout ovens in there that's not like the cooktop I got in my house. You know what I'm saying? I look at everything. You got to look at I look at all that stuff. Look at the backgrounds when they're talking, where they're at. You know what I'm saying? That's why when I'm talking, if I'm on my kitchen, I'll show you my cooktop. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at the little stuff, bro. And I look at all that stuff. That's why I kind of realized, man, dude, all these dudes are fake. And it's 90% of the people that you look up to on Instagram are fake as hell. Yeah. Besides Frisellas, Josh and all those guys, but you can tell because you know why? Those guys you can Google and look up their actual businesses that they built. If you can Google a guy and he's a coach and he hasn't built a business, then he's a fake. And he literally got his money from people like you giving it to him because you like his lifestyle and think he's a cool dude. You know what I'm saying? And his entire image is fake. And not only that, if that's fake, he's a trashy ass human being too. On top of that.
Yeah. Well, you said you just mentioned that your dream was to help people. And you still are. So your dream is still being fulfilled, regardless of if you're doing it how you used to do it, or you're doing it now in the car business. Because just doing this podcast and then out interacting with people, right, leading by example, showing everybody what it means to be a real father. People need that. Yeah. That's an untapped market, I believe. Showing men how to be a father. Yeah. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know. Remember you said you didn't know. Yeah. Now you're learning it. That's value. So you're still doing that, bro. You're still definitely, helping me. And I know I'm just one person. I can only imagine all the other people that you're helping.
And it's a great dude. And it's crazy. Now that you tell me that, I'm not cocky, but whatever. I like myself and I want people to be confident. Now the greatest compliment you can tell me is that I'm a great dad. No joke. There's nothing in the world I like hearing more than people tell me that. There's nothing I like more than my wife tells me you're such a great dad. You know what I mean? It breaks me to tears almost when I hear it, because I'm thinking I still had that thing in my head, how the hell am I a good dad? You know what I'm saying? Think about that. You know what I'm saying? I used to tell myself I was the biggest screw up on earth, bro. You know what I'm saying? And now people look at me to be the example. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? But that's how crazy life is, and your life can be if you change and do put in the hard work. You know what I'm saying? Nothing comes easy that's worth keeping. And if it was easy, everybody would be a multimillionaire, everybody would be successful, they'd all be sober, but it's not easy, you know what I'm saying? But that's why when you do the work, God rewards you because you're doing the tough work, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why I tell people that when I'm redefining success, I believe success is doing what you ultimately want to do here on earth. Doesn't matter, you could be a guy who goes to work and works in construction and busts your ass, you come home, you take care of your family. To me, that's a successful person. He's doing what he loves to do if he loves it. So you don't have to be 100 millionaire to be successful some of these people try to get you to convince.
The only thing money does, it makes you easier to help people, bro. I just had this talk with my mom the other day because I was going through it a little bit, and I told her, I was she's you're making more money you ever made. She was saying, I'm Mom, I'm proof money doesn't make you happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a shit about money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have everything I want. Like, what? And like, I'm still feeling like this today. So what the hell does money do for me? You know what I'm saying? Like, so for those of people like, and I used to be that guy, like, all I want to do is get rich and make money. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you have it and you realize and you bought all the toys, like, that shit wears off. You know what I'm saying? That's why they say, like, money doesn't buy you happiness. Money buys you temporary happiness, but money does make it easier to help people. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't have money, I wouldn't have freedom to go help people. But like, once you stop buying things, once you have all the stuff, like, I can't fit any more shit here in my office. Like, so what the hell am I going to do now? You know what I'm saying? That shit wears off, you know, and you have to have true happiness inside. So like, that's what I'm searching for, you know, like I'm there, but like, that's all I want for the rest of my life is just peace inside me and just to feel like content and just to know that like I've been everywhere for my son and like the new one that we got on the way, you know, God blessed with another one. We found out the day of Quincy's birthday. So I have another kid on the way and it's like crazy, bro. Like so I cannot believe, like, I still can't believe I'm a father and I have a family. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy to me than like even getting sober and like making it out of prison. Like,
yeah, I mean, if you look at the odds of your life, if you started and just did like some mathematician went back into your life and was like, what are the odds of this 0.001%? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's God.
Less than 1%, 100%.
That's God. So it's like when people say, I don't know about this God thing, look at this man's life.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Look, like that's what I tell people is like that. It's all around us, the signs. It's just sometimes we're blind to it. People don't want to see it, I don't think.
Or we need like one big final thing to happen to us and then we're like, all right, now I believe it. You know, because seriously, for a lot of you guys are like probably on the fence teetering right now too, you know, thinking like, I think God's real, but I don't know, you know, and I think he's real, but he hasn't done anything for me lately, or, you know what I'm saying, my life is kind of shitty, so then why would God be real? I'm telling you, he's real, and if you keep plugging away, you will see, you know what I'm saying, as long as you don't give up, I promise you, there will be a point in time where, like, you can't even deny the fact that God's real, you know what I'm saying, that's what I say now, like, there's no one in the world that can convince me that God ain't real, you know what I'm saying, and if you're going to try, that's the other great thing about being out here on the streets is I don't have to talk to you, you know what I'm saying, like, I can choose who I spend my time with, you know what I'm saying, I can choose who I give interviews to, like, that's the thing, you have all the choice in the world to do whatever you want out here, you know.
You've been out almost 10 years. It's hard to, I know this is a tough question because I don't know if you thought when you first walked out of prison you would be here today 10 years later, but where do you think that you'll be in 10 years and where do you want to be in 10 years?
Okay, I'll tell you this, for one, and this is so crazy to even say, but to be honest, I would have probably bet that after 10 years I wasn't even alive.
Yeah.
No joke. That's how I got out of prison, with that mindset even, you know, like, I thought when I got out of prison after 12 years, you know, my last 11 months, I was in Supermax for an investigation for an attempted murder. Like, literally got out of straight to shoe that where Wes Watson never been, you know, like literally that. And like, I got out and I would have bet money that I would have probably been dead. I thought there was a chance I might figure out my life and have some boring ass life being sober or something like that. And now, like, these next 10 years, bro, like, to be honest, I think I just see myself, and with you, like, I want to just be like the biggest face to like helping people that think that they don't have a chance, you know what I'm saying? And like, obviously the money goals, but like the money goals aren't money goals to have money. The money goals are money to have freedom. And like, I want to have a, you know, a lake house for my son to be at, you know, like I want to like do things with my son that I didn't get to do before. Cause like, even when my dad was around, like we didn't have money, you know what I'm saying? So like now it's like, it's so crazy to me that like, I was just telling Jazzy, isn't it crazy going to the grocery store not even having to look at price on shit? You know what I'm saying? Like I told Jazz, how nice that going to get gas, you never even have to look at how much your gas tank is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's so crazy to me. So like, that's the only reason I like money is like just to have freedom. And like, so I know like, if I want to go help somebody, like I don't have to worry about like how much gas in my car to go down there. You know what I'm saying? So like I know, to be honest, I know I'll be a multimillionaire, but like I don't even have like money goals. You know what I'm saying? Like I have other goals, you know, like I just want houses all over and like to freedom. Like you said, like real true, like being to where you made it is just having the freedom to do whatever you want and enjoying your life to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because clearly if you have that, you already have the money, whatever money makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has a certain amount of money, which they think that they want to live off of or have a certain lifestyle. Some people don't give a shit about cars. I do, you know what I'm saying? So like, of course I have a couple exotic cars, but like more than anything, just like having the freedom to do whatever I want with my family.
Yeah. It's funny because I said that like, when I got out of prison, I wanted true freedom. And a part of that was like mental freedom, physical freedom, and then financial freedom. Because with the financial freedom, like you said, if you need to take a trip to another state to go help people, you can do it. Or if you need to like make an adjustment in your life, you know money's not going to keep you from doing that.
Yep.
And I discovered just through my journey these past 3 years, it's crazy. My 3-year anniversary was like a week ago.
Damn.
Yeah.
You've been out of prison 3 years?
Yeah. And I was in a juvenile facility in the same juvenile facility I once was in, speaking to 60 juvenile kids in there on my 3-year anniversary and telling them, never imagined that. But what I found was when I got out,
you're amazing to me. Like seriously, I'm not joking. I don't like, besides like the Frisellas and all that stuff, like I'm not joking. There's not a person on earth that inspires me more than you. I swear to God, bro. Like,
appreciate that.
It's crazy. Like 3 years out of prison, like I was like, man, it's just crazy, bro. Like seriously. But that's another people, like if we ever get this into prison, it's like, Carlos is an example of like doing positive stuff in prison too. How much farther ahead you can be when you get out of prison. You know what I'm saying? Like I did nothing but politic and stuff in my entire prison sentence, which is why I kind of teach people if you're in prison, like start doing the work now. You know what I'm saying? Like switch your mindset now. Like start reading books now. Like you can be so far ahead of people in the world. Like you could literally get out of prison and like literally have a leg up on the world if you're like doing positive work while you're in prison. I didn't, you know, but like I tell people, do it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have the opportunity to do that before, like absolutely 100% do it. And you're a perfect example of that. Like, dude, it's unbelievable to me. You've only been out of prison 3 years. I think you've been out of prison 10 years. It's almost scary for me to think, like, right when you said that, I was like thinking, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna be scared to see where he is in 10 years. That was what went in my mind when you said that.
I just provide value. I got out and I started doing everything I'm doing today. I got out and did for free for at least a year straight. I never saw a dime. I'm honored because you said that you normally don't. Well, right now at this point in your life, you're not accepting podcasts. People ask you to do 10 podcasts. You said no, but you said you would do this one, How to Battle. You said Ed Millets and Andy Frisella, like just to be named with those people, and that you actually would do this is an honor, man.
And that's the truth too. I'm not even joking, bro. Like like I get asked to do podcasts every few days on the gram or something like that. And I've literally turned on every single podcast. I don't even remember the last interview I've given. No joke, because like I don't care. All I want to do is like I'm just making sure I'm there for my son, and like I'm trying to build a legacy for us, and I'm trying to like build the life that I want. So that's what I'm doing every day, and like I just knew how beneficial this would be to your audience, and I say I'm the people's people, but so are you, bro. You know what I'm saying? And like this is for the people, bro. That's why I did it. You know what I'm saying? Like this isn't for me. Like I just knew like I want to have an impact with your audience rather than like some dude that's an entrepreneur that's trying to just be Instagram famous. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't give a shit about giving those interviews right now. Like this is something that means something. Like your mission is why I did this. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. In your podcast, where do you see that going? Are you going to continue doing that?
So yeah, I am, and that's what's crazy. Like I haven't even done my podcast for about a year and a half now, but so you're actually using my studio in my own house before me. But like I will start recording. I will start recording. Next month here, I'm going to kick back up my podcast and get them back in the prisons, and like I feel like that's where a lot of my happiness came from too. You know, it's like hearing those stories because it's like what it does only there is it gives you perspective, it puts those stuff fresh in your head. You know, because like I told you, that's kind of something that I like do that's not the greatest is I do kind of sometimes forget where I come from. You know, I've been living this life now for so while. Like I think like this is my shit. You know, and I kind of do sometimes forget how shitty my life was. You know, and like I told you earlier, that's the biggest disservice I can do is forget where I come from. You know what I'm saying? So like podcasts help a ton because like every week you're getting a perspective and like remembering like, oh shit, this is where I used to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you have people that, because I've seen it in your feed, you have people that are sending you like, thank you, I listened to your podcast when I was in prison. Yeah. So that's what I mean. You're still like, your work will outlive you. So I live my life like thinking that I might not be here tomorrow. And it's just what I use for me to push forward. Some people would say, don't say that, don't think like that. But that's just how I live. I get up every morning like, this might be my last day. Right. So everything I do, every content I produce, I'm like, well, you know what? If I do go out, this will outlive me. So the people that need to hear this at some point, maybe he's in prison and he's getting out and he runs across something we do. And that's the difference maker. So like for you, you know, the work that you do, man, is continuing to help people. So the podcast that you did like was my first platform. Like you put me on your podcast. Remember? Like I drove all the way. I was still on parole. I didn't even tell anybody that. I was still on parole. And I came to Arizona to get on your podcast and to talk to you, meet you in person, and to learn from you. Yeah. Risked my freedom after doing 17 years. But for me, I just felt like God wanted me to do that. But I'm glad I did it. Yeah, for sure. So your podcast, man, it definitely changed my life.
That's awesome. And you know what's crazy? That's the biggest like. That's the thing that makes me most at peace with, like I said, quote unquote, giving up my dreams and going back. Like, even if I do that, like I built residual income businesses and I have the podcast that's in prison. So even if like I said, I stayed in the car biz forever, I still have my podcast that's changing lives while I'm working still. And like, so like, that's kind of like where I give myself grace and peace on that stuff too. Absolutely. But like, I'm hard on myself. And to be honest, I think people should be kind of hard on themselves too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're the only person that's going to hold yourself accountable. You know what I'm saying? If you're giving yourself slack, you can give yourself slack in anything. Like, you got to like hold yourself accountable on shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. And even little shit, because if you start letting little shit slide, you're going to let big shit slide. And then pretty much you're like not going to hold yourself accountable for anything. Yeah. And you'll know, like, you'll have this mindset like, I'm not going to do that shit. You know, I don't ever get shit done. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, just hold yourself accountable.
Yeah. Well, bro, It's been an honor to have you on this How to Battle podcast. And I tell people, only people that are going to be on this podcast are people that I really truly feel that have overcome extreme adversity and battles in their life. And you definitely are among the top of those. And so it's an honor. And I just want to say, anybody out there and everybody listening, to read this book, Against All Odds. A gripping, true story, definitely true story of addiction, crime, imprisonment, and ultimate success. And it's funny because ultimate success is like when I walk in this house and I see you and your son smiling when you're holding him, and and just Jasmine and like her eyes when she looks at you, and that like you guys, like that's success. Mm-hmm. So this is the truth. It's not like something that you put together and that you're just trying to make money off of. This is truth.
Yep.
And I love that, and I'm proud of you, man, for all you've accomplished. And I'm here in any way that I can, in whatever way, to help.
Likewise.
And, so is there any else you want to say, or people can follow you, connect?
Yeah, here, I'll say this. Yeah, so if you want to follow me, and if anybody is listening to this and you want, just like we said, some free game or something like that, or to run some ideas, Instagram is Peter_Meyerhoff, Meyerhoff. Go grab the book, podcast, Roll Call with Chappie. It's on all platforms. Start with episode 1. It's my full story. I interviewed my mom, my dad, and my stepmom for an hour and a half. Wow. Nobody gets through that thing without crying. I've had huge people on my podcast, and that first one has 20 times the views of any other one. Just reach out to me, man. It's like my greatest passion to help people, man. I just want to inspire people. And if you are listening to this, bro, like you are the one, and there's no one in this world that can change your life more than you. So just do it.
And I honestly feel like we could do a 4-hour podcast here because there's so much to uncover. So maybe in a year or so.
I was going to say, let's do this for sure in a year.
Come back, and do this because there's so much there. But thank you, bro, and I really appreciate you. And I love you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.